Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin, dear brothers and sisters. Now we are in sessions 5 that we are going to discuss on our topic today, a brief history of Islamic economic thought. That it is one of the very important sessions that we are going to discuss together. So this is the learning objective that we are going to detail in this meeting. So the first, to introduce the students a brief history of brief history and development of Islamic economic thought, to appreciate and recognize some economic thought produced by Muslim scholars in the past, and last but not least, to study Islamic economic school of thought in the contemporary world. The lectures outcomes, there are two. The students are expected to have a good understanding on the history and development of Islamic economic thought, and students are also expected to generate the ideas behind the emergence of Islamic economic thought. So this is the plan that we are going to discuss in detail. So in the beginning, we are going to have introduction discussions. So the history of economics in the West. So Islamic economic thought in the classical age. So after we have contemporary Islamic economic thought and the school of Islamic thought currently in the contemporary era. Last but not least, we are going to have in conclusions. So let us start with the introductions. Dear brothers and sisters, so why do we need to study history? So because history is one of the very important aspect in our life. Because you are today built by you are yesterday. That you are today come developed from you were yesterday. So by means that history is your past that built you today. That anything has been your foundations, anything that you are stepping on, so afterward you can go further and go develop more and more. So history is one of very important point that you have to mirror, you have to really reflecting by your past. Then you will have enriched into your futures. So some economics search for an identity, yes, because we are still in developing of Islamic economics as knowledge. So we need to search an identity. So the identity is one of the very important point that we are going to have in ourselves. So how do we study an Islamic economic thought? So we need to reflect and we need to see how and what are the contributions of Muslim thinkers in the past. So this is how do we want to reveal, we want to discover what the things has been contributed by our ulama, by our Islamic thinkers in the past. Starting that point, so this is what the way that Western perspective they come in history. So the word of economy that is derived from the Greek eikos and nomos. So they also mentions about economic thought originated from the ideas put forward by the Greek philosophers such as Plato, Cicero, and Xenophon and others. This is 2 and the 3 before century. So when we see that point, see here about the timeline here. So that we mentioned here Greek philosophy, so before century. So afterward come the Bible. It is the church dominations. So until that kind of 13th centuries, it comes to Thomas Aquinas philosophy. So he is the philosopher that we find in the 13th century. So after we have the 18th century, we have Adam Smith with the his book is A Wealth of Nations. So there is a missing gap here. So is there an economic thought here? They have their perspective on the Western point of view. It is missing link. So according to them, from 1st century until 13th century, there is no any contributions of what going on in economics. So it is like missing link that they do not find any discover, they do not find any theories come in that point. So what is this? What is it in the age of 1st until 13th century? No contributions on economic, what is a theory, foundations, and others. This is the Western perspective. So let us see the history of economics and the Western perspective. So according to Joseph Schumpeter, the 2006, there was a great gap of the economic thought, more than 500 years. At the time known by Dark Age, by the way. So that the discover in his research, Joseph Schumpeter, he mentions and stated about Dark Age by the West. So it is more than 15 years. There is no any contributions. There is no any enlightenment about the economic. So the economic thought at the time, it was such as dark. There is no any enlightenment in that point. So according to Spiegel 1991 mentions that, for the example, assumes that there at the time there is no work of thought about economy. So they, in the perspective of Western, they see that there is no any contributions on a, economy area. There is no any contributions toward the economic development and others. So the fact, what are the fact here? When the West are in the dark age, Muslims are in the advanced civilizations. The Muslim having a very advanced, so a Muslim having a very high civilizations that come Islam at that point. So several knowledge center has emerged, such as in Iraq, Egypt, Andalusia, and many others. So in this age, that according to the Western civilizations, that we don't have any contributions, but at that point, Muslims are really diligent that they come with many contributions in the time that where they mentions about that age. So several existence of Muslim scholars in any field. So we can find many Muslim scholars. We can find many ulama in many field that they come with some theories. Many theories, not even in the way of religions, but in the way of many science, such as in math, such as in physics, such as in many areas that Muslim actually come. Like we have Al-Jabar, we have many of Muslims' contributions toward the science. Some Muslim scholars have taught on economy. Yes, exactly. So there are also Muslims scholars, they are specified themselves in economy. So the missing link has been found. So actually it is not missing link, but they don't know and they do not discover what are the contributions of Muslim at that point, because maybe the assumptions they do not reach, and they do not have the access come into the Middle East, for the example. So the Islamic economic thought in a classical age. So Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam age and his early predecessor, it is Sahaba. So the next period is the first period, second period, and third period. So according to Islahi, so Islahi, Abdul Azim Islahi is one of our scholars today, that he is focusing on the Islamic economic thought, that he is focusing on the history. So he classified into first, second, and third period. So of course, in the very foundations, we have Rasulullah Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam age and his companions, his Sahaba, his Khalifa. We have Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, we have Umar ibn al-Khattab, we have Uthman ibn Affan, we have Ali bin Abi Talib at that point. So we have Al-Hasan, Al-Hussein, and others. So now Abdul Azim Islahi, Professor Abdul Azim Islahi, he divided into three phases. So what are they? The first period, we mentions about the foundations. It is in early Islam until 450 Hijriah, or 1058 century. So second period, we have 450 Hijriah, or we have 1058 century, comes into 850 Hijriah, or until 1448 46 in the century. And last, he divided into third period as classical age. This is 850 Hijriah, or it's going to be 1446 in century, until 1350 Hijriah, or 1932 century. So what are they? So it's named by the first foundations. They mentions that he mentions about the formations period. So afterward, he mentions about second phases, the translations period. So afterward, in the third period, he has the retranslations and transmission period. So what is the first period that he mentions? This will cover the period just after the sessions of the revelations to the end of convenience era. So on the convenience of era, in the end is going to be who is the last convenient that at the time they live, they still live in that period. So second passes the translations period when foreign ideas were translated into Arabic, and Muslim scholars got an opportunity to benefit from the intellectual and practical works of other nations. It is second until the fifth or eighth until 11th century. So in the third pass, this is going to be the translations and transmissions period when the Greco-Arab Islamic ideas reach Europe through translations and other contexts. It is 6 until 9 or 12 until 15th centuries. So starting from the first period, this is the foundations in the early Muslim, in the early Islam age until 450 Hijriah. So the first ulama, the first Salafus Saleh that come contributions into economy is Zaid bin Ali. It is the Hussein's grandson by Ali bin Abi Talib. 120 Hijriah or 798 century. So in his thinking, it is allowing to the installment price to be higher than the cash prices. Today we have our model of this kind of transactions named by the Bai'u Taqsid that we mentioned here. So the installment, when you want to have the price is higher than the cash, it allowed, yes, but exactly it is on the sessions of contract, not when it is done by the contract and you have some additional. So it's going to be in riba. So strictly prohibited usually in any forms. Yes, Zaid bin Ali, he strictly prohibited any kind of usury in the any transactions. His thoughts are not properly counted and compiled. Yes, there is no any what do you say some book that has been found as his writing, but it's just only come from the Asar. It's come from the Asar. So come into Abu Yusuf. Yeah, Abu Yusuf is one of the very popular in Islamic economic thought because he has a book named by Al-Kharraj. It is 182 Hijriah or 788 century. So his book Al-Kharraj traditionally interpreted the land tax has much to do with the public economy, particularly on taxations and the role of state in the economy development. So Abu Yusuf is actually the friend and companion of Abu Hanifa, Imam Abu Hanifa. So Abu Yusuf is the Hanafi scholars that he focused into the Al-Kharaj, it is a land tax. So oppose the tax on agriculture's land and propose the replacement of the lump sum system in the land into the proportion system of agricultural products. So not on the land, but it's going to be into the proportional system of agricultural products. Emphasize on the principle of fairness and adjustment to the ability to pay in taxations, as well as the need of accountability in the management of state money. So this thought is very similar to Adam Smith concept of canon on the taxations. So namely equality, certainty, comfort, convenient, and economical. That's the way we have in the modern thinker that actually Adam Smith, he replicate or he found at the same point with Abu Yusuf. So secondly, Muhammad bin Al-Hasan Al-Shaybani, Imam Al-Shaybani. Imam Shaybani also, it is a Hanafi madhab. So he passed away in 189 Hijriah or 804 century. So he has several books on the economy that we have Kitabu Al-Iktisab fi Rizqi Al-Mustatab, Book of Earning in the Clean Living, and Kitabul Asl, Kitabul Kasbi, and so he has this kind of a book. So discuss various issues in the field of muamalah such as ijara, renting. So we have tijari, trading, we have zero agriculture, and sina and manufacturing. So he already defined and detailed many transactions on the muamalah. So the ideal consumption's behavior of Muslims, according to him, is very simple. That likes to give, do not to be a beg. So he has the theory that the Muslim behavior that you have to fulfill your need, not to fulfill what you want, that anybody have desire on it. So Kitabul Asal discuss various forms of business transactions such as as-salam, prepaid order, shirkah, partnership, and mudharabah. So he also defined and discussed in his book Kitab al-Asl about how do we have in partnership, how do we have in pre-order, and many others of transactions. So come afterward, Al-Haris bin Asad al-Muhasibi. So this is 780 century Hijriah. I'm so sorry, this is Hijriah century. Sorry, so 781 century until 857 century. So he wrote a book entitled by Al-Makasib. So he has a book. He wrote a book, Al-Makasib, Types of Enterprises. So revenue must be obtained well and not exceed the limit. So when he has a theory on the revenue, how the revenue can be obtained and to be gained by the what do you say, the seller, they not exceed the limit of the market at that point. So earnings and wages may not be levied or paid in the tax. Is you cannot do zulm, injustice to your employee. So withdrawing from economic activity which not reflect the attitudes of Islamic value. So any kind of transactions which not reflected to Islamic value, so he against on that point. So the attitudes must come into the economic area. Communities must cooperate with each other and condemn the traders' attitude of the violence in the law for the profit. So the communities must come into cooperations. They watch one each other. They do supervise in the way of market mechanism, that the attitudes of traders also watch at a point in order to avoid the violations of the law in order to get the high profit in the market. So next we have Junaid al-Baghdadi. He is a Sufism. He is a Sufi, but he book. He also having the idea on the economy. So he is better known as a Sufi leader. Yes, and his economic thought is very tasawwuf, spiritual. So he do not only mentions about how the way that we earn the money, how do we earn our earning, but he also having on the purifications of your soul. The essence of the teaching Sufism is to throw away self-motivated motivations in improving spiritual qualities and dedicating themselves to the true knowledge. A Muslim must also do what is the best for eternal interest, expect virtue from the whole society, and become truly faithful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in his point of view, when you want to do your economic activities such as trading, purchasing, or buying the things, so not only the way that you fulfill your needs as it is material, but in that way you also have to reach the way of spiritual. So Junaid al-Baghdadi, he is pointing into this area that not merely into materialistic, but you have to come into spiritual also. So Ibnu Maskawi. So Ibnu Maskawi, he mentions on that point. So trying to synthesize the philosophical views of the Aristotle's with the teaching of Islam. So he is going to have the synthesize on those 2 point of view. The philosophical aspect views, it is Aristotle, into the Islamic teachings. So synchronize on this thing into blended and mixed theory. So humans are social beings who need each other to meet the needs of goods and service. So yes, human is social beings, or we call madaniyun bitabi'i. Madaniyun bitabi'i is the social beings that need each other, need help from others, and so on. So when you want to fulfill your needs, it must be come into goods and services. So human beings are need to exchange good, yes, do barter, and service with the appropriate compensations, al-mukafa al-munasiba. So when you exchange into transactions, you have your mu'awadat. So the compensations must be into fair and just. Appropriate compensations mean here. The transactions mechanism, money acts as the appraisal and balancer. Al-mutaqawwim al-musawwi baynahuma. In the transactions, so that the principle of justice can be created. So when we want to use, according to Ibnu Maskawi, the money is the way to what do you say, transform the owners. So money is not the commodity money, but it is the act as the appraiser and balancer. So to having the appraisal, having the value on the things or on the service. So I mean the money comes into the appropriate what do you say, using an appropriate usage in that point. So we have Imam Al-Mawardi. Imam Al-Mawardi is one of the very familiar and very popular among us. His book is Al-Ahkam Al-Sultaniyah, the constitutional law. So he has one of the very popular book, Al-Ahkam Al-Sultaniyah. Has much to say about the government and state administrations, such as government obligations, state revenues and expenditures, land, state and society, state prerogatives to grant land, state obligations to oversee market, etc. So you can read further detail on the Ahkam Sultaniyah. So he is talking in detail on how the state operate and govern the society in that area. So his second book, Ad-Din wa Dunya, Religions and World. Adab Dunya wa Din. So Ad-Din wa Dunya. So focus on the economic behavior of individuals Muslim, especially by applications of Sufism in the economic activities such as agriculture, so animal husbandry, commerce and industry. So this is the book is not Ad-Din wa Dunya, Adab Dunya wa Din, Adab Dunya wa Din, the Al-Mawardi. So ihtikar, hoarding, greed and asking for the office can damage the economy. So yes, Imam Al-Wardi also criticized on how the market mechanism. So there is no, so he imposed on the stability of market with no hoarding. There is no any or they say supply demand perfections and others. And also he criticized on the officer. So next, in the second period, so this is the formulations on the translation or translation. So the glory of Islam began to dim. So it's going to be declining. Moral decadence in the body of government, economic inequality, and the spiritual religions teachings from the public sphere. The protracted political dispute and power struggles that drain energy and economic resources. There are critical social thinkers. So because in that era, it is going to be in the time of Islam begin to dim. The light is not so bright anymore. So it's going to be declining era at that point. So those are critical social thinkers here. So let's see here. We have Imam Al-Ghazali, or we named by Abu Hamid Muhammad Al-Ghazali. So he is one of the very popular thinker and philosopher in Islam. So his works include Ihya Ulumuddin, Al-Mustasfa, Mizan Al-Amal, At-Tibar Al-Masbuq fi Nasihat Al-Mulk, and many others. He wrote many books in that point because he is having the title on Hujjatul Islam. So the economic discussions on Ghazali include money, trade, divisions of labor, consumption's behavior, community organizations in the economy, halal haram, fadlul kasbi, and many others. So he emphasizing on the way that how do you earn money into the appropriate and un-Islamic value in the way of fiqh and also in the way of Sufism. Discuss the laws of the barter system and importance of money as the means of exchange and the unit account of goods and services. So Imam Al-Ghazali also already mentions and discussed about the things. So what are the disadvantage of barter system, and afterward he come into the theory of money, that money is the means of exchange. So committing money is like putting money in the jail because it will reduce the amount of money that serve as medium of exchange. So according to him, that committing money is one of the crime that actually the people they do that point. So riba is the practice of misuse of money and harmful functions, and corruptions and operations are factors that can cause economic downturn. So yes, riba is one of the cause at that point. Economic come into declining and turn. That's the point. So next, Taqiyuddin Ahmad bin Abdul Salam Ibn Taymiyyah. So he is Ibn Taymiyyah, Imam Ibn Taymiyyah. So he has he wrote a book at that point, Al-Hisbah fil Islam, As-Siyasa Syar'iyyah fi Islah Al-Ra'yi wal-Ra'iyah. So for political law in improving leaders and peoples, who discussed the economic issues at the time through the social approach of fiqh. The importance of compensations in the free market. He wrote also on just market or fair market, the role of the market supervisors and the role of the state in the economy. So he actually also discuss on in a very detail on how the market mechanism come into Islamic perspective. Although he strongly emphasized the importance of free market, the state must limit and hamper excessive individual ownership. Yes, the state is responsible for the fulfilling the basic need of the people. Yes, in that point, he also proposed this kind of idea. So Abu Zaid Abdul Rahman bin Muhammad Ibnu Khaldun al-Khadrami. We mentions one of the very popular today, Ibnu Khaldun, Imam Ibnu Khaldun. The only Muslim scholar who economic thought was recognized by Schumpeter. So Schumpeter, he recognized the Muslim thinkers. It is Ibnu Khaldun. In his book Al-Muqaddimah Ibn Khaldun gives a broad discussions of the theory of values, the divisions of labors, industrial trade, and law of demand and supply, consumptions, market, productions, money, trade cycle, public finance, and some others macroeconomic discussions. So it is a very comprehensive. Then you want to know about how the theory, you just can download also the PDF of his writing translated into English. And if you have any competency to read in Arabic, so it's going to be much more better. Emphasize the importance of free market mechanism, free market system. The importance of demand-side economy in the particular government spending as the Keynesian's view to prevent business decline and maintain economic growth. So we have Nasiruddin At-Tusi. He is actually Shia. He in Tus is a part of Iran. So his economic thought can be found in his book Al-Akhlaq An-Nasiri. So he wrote a book on Akhlaq Nasiri. Civilizations and divisions of labor has created an economic surplus, enabling the creations of operations in society to provide each other with goods and service, the necessity of life. So he having discussions on how the economic activities cycle among the peoples about the divisions of labors in order to create the economic surplus, not into a deficit. So it takes a strategy to encourage people to work together to achieve community prosperity, to achieve the community well-being and others. So need cooperations, need to hand in hand in order to develop the community in that area. So we have Shah Waliullah, the third period. So come into the third period. Just now we have come into second period. No, three retranslations and also transmissions. So what is that? Shah Waliullah, he wrote a book that we can find. Name of the book is Hujjah al-Baligha. Al-Hujjah al-Baligha. Human beings are naturally social beings that have to cooperate. For example, in the form of exchange of goods and service, business cooperations, having mudaraba, musharaka, cooperations in agriculture, management, and others. We have Muzara'a, Musaqat, and many others. Islam prohibits activities that undermine cooperation, such as the gambling, and usually because it is unfair, exploitative, and contains high uncurrency. It's going to be in gharar, maisir, and many others prohibited activities in Islam. Two reasons for the declining of economic growth. First, the state finance are weighted down by the unproductive expenses. So according to him, there are two reasons. One of the very important and fundamental factors. The first is going to be state finance are weighted down by unproductive expenses. And secondly, the tax imposed on economic actors are too heavy to degrade the spirit of economy. Next, we have in the third period, Muhammad Iqbal. Muhammad Iqbal is what do you say? We name as the what do you say? Yeah, it is thinker. He is thinker also, but very popular on the civilizations or on the civils area. So Muhammad Iqbal mentions here, emphasizes on sharply the weakness of capitalism and communism and present the moderate thought unfolded by Islam. So because he found the way of capitalism and communism that he criticized on it, and he come into the moderate thought unfolded by the Islam. The state has a great task to bring about the social justice. He mentions many things about the social justice, how to achieve the social justice, and many others. Zakat is the law and regulations is obligatory in Islam. It since the having the strategic positions from the creations of just society. So according to him, zakat is one of the very important instrument in order to make a balance in the economic, in order to create, in order to establish the justice society. So now we come into contemporary period. It is 1930 until present day. So we have Zarqa, Mustafa Zarqa, 92, defines the contemporary Islamic economic thinking contributions into three. So Islamic Sharia expert, are we going to be Islamic Sharia expert? But I mean, he is the fuqaha. So conventional economist, and lastly is Islamic jurisprudence or Sharia expert, and also conventional economics. So both having two together in the Islamic jurisprudence or Sharia expert, and also having in the conventional. So according to Khurshid Ahmad, defines the development of contemporary Islamic economics thought into four phases in this contemporary period. So who are they and what are they? This is the first basis. So the first basis in the mid of 1930s, 30s, that he mentions there were many analyze of the social economic problems from the point of Islam Sharia as the form of concern to Islamic world that is generally controlled by the West country at that point. So those are many thinkers at that point. They appears in order to having contributions on Islamic economics. At that point, Islamic world has been controlled and colonized by the Western countries. Also, most of this analysis come from the scholars who have no formal education's background in the economic. Their pace has opened up new awareness of the need of the serious attentions of economic issues. So coming to second phases, what is that? Second phase. So around the 1970s, many Muslims economists are struggling to develop certain aspect of Islamic economics, especially from the monetary side. They discussed a lot about the interest and usury and started offering the alternatives to flowers. So they are discussing on how the riba, how the monetary system based on riba, based on the interest, is going to be having a problem into the country. So they are having some alternatives, propose many alternatives in order to avoid this kind of damage. The interest-free banking framework gets and the main issue. So they are having a purpose on the Islamic banking on the free interest. So various international meetings began to be held in that time. So third phase, the development of Islamic economics over the last decade and a half, the half marks the third phase in the which many contains practical operations, efforts from the realizations of industry banking. So the third phase is the executions that they are going to implement the kind of the interest-free banks. So banks without interest began to establish both in the Muslim countries as well in European and America. From this then, the theory of Islamic banking and finance continues to grow up until today. So in the fourth pass, according to Khurshid, so in this time, the development of Islamic economy is heading to more integral and comprehensive discussions. The existence of the various shocks in the conventional economic system becomes a challenge as well as the opportunity to implement the Islamic economic system. Because of there are many times of market crunch, market problem in the conventional. There are crises. It is 10 years cycle. So it needs the alternative, and this is an opportunity for the Islamic economic system in order to be implemented. So various methods began to be applied in building the theory of Islamic economics. So the theory of Islamic economics in the modern aspect, it is built and created in that point. So those are the reference that we are going to have, and also we have also put in e-learning. You can also download it. Some books that are Islahi, Abdul Azim Islahi, Professor Abdul Azim Islahi also contributed at that point. So we are going to have deeper and detailed discussions in our class. I think that's all. Thank you very much for the attentions, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease you in understanding our subject, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the help until this pandemic has been Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take. I think that's all. Thank you very much. Subhanakallah bihamdika. Asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Nastaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Aku qouli hadza. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.